It's Sunday night, 9 o'clock. Welcome to All Lacrosse Live. It's good to be back in the captain's chair over here. It's a lot better than being over in Prague and trying to watch this at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's tough when you can't do anything and you just sit there and watch, man. It's tough. Well, as usual, the boys are back, and I have with me my usual suspects. I have Shawn Slaght over in Moose Jaw. How are you, Shawn?
Doing pretty good, thanks, Gary.
Good. You looking well?
Repping my Moose Jaw Warriors right now. So
there you go. There you go. And I have Muffler Mike over in Connecticut. Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Excellent. Me too. I have put on a couple of things that bring me joy because there's a lot of things this week that have given me pain. But I have my Gales hat on, and one of the things I really love about the Rabeski tournament is when we're trading jerseys and stuff, and I was able to get the Adler Lacrosse out of Germany thing for one of the Gales jerseys. So I love this logo, man. It's just a
beautiful jersey.
Yeah.
Nice.
So Chris Tasker is also supposed to be on the Gales, but he's been playing there a couple of years. He got a Gales jersey from me, and I got his. So pretty awesome. Just before we get rolling, just a reminder that all of our shows are streamed live across Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and also Twitch. And catch all the action on EOPsports.com. Remember to hit the subscribe, follow, and like buttons. Always share. As you see, we have many, many shows for anybody and everything, especially the newest show, Trending in the AM. Huge hit. You want to check it out. Believe me, it is fantastic. Just lighten it all up. So please give it a look, give it a listen. If you missed a show, no worries. Grab all the podcasts and all the major podcasting companies, which include Amazon, iTunes, Google Play, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, and so much more. Also, you can get it on the EOP YouTube page, EOP Sports, or if you're looking for our stuff in particular, you can go to the All Across All the Time YouTube page, in which you have our entire library, as well as interviews, press conferences, fights. You also have our entire library of retro games. Another 3 games went up this week. I just put them up. Some great games. More on the way, coming in the next couple of weeks as well. Remember, you can stay up to date with all sports by visiting EOPsports.com with great articles from our huge staff of contributors. While you're there, please subscribe to the newsletter. Guys, it is our 2nd year anniversary today. Happy birthday.
Hey.
It has been our pleasure and our privilege to serve you guys for 2 years and many, many more on the way. We're just getting stronger and stronger. We're getting richer and richer, more people, more things, more ability to cover more things. So just stick around, and we are your one-stop shop, your Costco, if you will, of lacrosse.
See what you did there.
Hell yeah. Just a reminder that the McDougall 3rd annual fundraiser is coming up July 6th over the Toronto Rock Athletic Center. There is a junior A game at 3 p.m., a celebrity game at 6 p.m. Always lots of big names in that celebrity game. I believe it's $10 to get in. There you have a silent auction. You have a beer garden, live music. It is a big to-do. A lot of great things. The money is going towards kids, always helping kids reach their full potential. Definitely something you want to come into. It's worth your time, worth your cash. So please. Some sad news. Callum Robinson and his brother and friend, we were putting up things if anybody had seen them. They were on vacation in Mexico. They have been found. They passed away. Apparently it was a robbery. Went wrong. PLL put out a statement. PLL family, entire lacrosse world, are heartbroken by the tragic loss of Callum Robinson, Jake Robinson, and Jack Carter. Road. During these unimaginably difficult times, we offer our hearts, support, and prayers to the Robinson and Road families, as well as all who love Callum, Jack, and Jake. From the moment he joined the PLL and Atlas LC, Callum brought an incredible spirit and huge heart to the game, energizing both teammates and opponents, audiences, and every member of our company. Callum was a rock for us in the early days of our league and our COVID season. His genuine positivity made every person he spent time with better. A coach for PLL play and a beacon for growing the sport internationally. Caleb's impact on our game will be felt forever. The PLL is offering support services to all players, coaches, and staff, and will honor Callum's memory at PLL games this season. Just a terrible tragedy. All right, let's get back on track here. I know, Mike, you touched on the Rebeski tournament, and I appreciate that a lot. Thank you very much. It was even more spectacular than last year. Yes, the Nova Scotia Privateers repeated. It's a fantastic team. They absolutely had total control of that final game against the Ulster Custodes, the Raditon team, and really it wasn't in doubt. Just amazing. My little journey in there, I'll give you just, we had just gotten off the plane. We went over to the field just to drop off the equipment. And who do I run into? Well, I run into Michelle Boyer, who, of course, is the head of Women's Box Lacrosse Global Network, and Sue Redfern, president of World Lacrosse. And we had a lovely chat for a while over at the field there. Really, really, really great people. And it was so much fun talking lacrosse right off the hop and getting things rolling. Now, I'm always in good company because the coaches for the Gales this time around was Joe Hiltz, as before, but Wayne Colley, former general manager of the Brooklyn Redmen, former Hall of Fame goalie, NLL and MSL. And, just had a whole lot of fun talking lacrosse with them and having fun throughout the week. And, of course, the boys. Gotta love that backdrop, outdoor box and that backdrop is just amazing. And I have already agreed to go out next year with the
Nice.
So that'll be it again for the I guess we're leaving Easter next year because I believe it's Easter Sunday when we head out for the tournament. So pretty cool stuff. And again, the lacrosse is amazing. Just some fantastic teams. Fantastic players. It was fun watching Sean Evans play with Switzerland, with Galactus, and then coaching for a bit. And, I guess it mellows him out a little bit when he starts getting players like him on his team. But one of our guys took a picture of Sean Evans in the penalty box, just for fun, in his natural habitat. Just fun stuff. Just a little note for we're going to talk about some of the goalies. We'll be talking about Nick Rose a little later on. But for all the guys who are bashing Frank Scagliano, just some note for you. All-time franchise leader, single season saves. For Saskatchewan, Scagliano had 665 saves this year.
Yeah.
I'd say those are pretty good numbers.
And
ahead of Evan Kirk, Aaron Bold, and Alex Bouquet.
By a mile, too.
By a mile.
Yeah. And they're still an 8-10 team.
Yeah. So once the defense matures, you can see what's about to happen there. Yeah, they're on the right track.
Oh, yeah.
This one is a little bit painful, guys. Yes.
Well, for Mike, maybe not.
Mike is the playoff wizard. Mike went 2-2 this week, while the rest of us went 1-3. Some of us got hit on that Toronto juggernaut. The moonbeam that went downwards for its spiral. Mike's 5-3 so far, playoffs year to date. Me, Shawn, Eduardo, 4-4. Pat is coming up the rear at 3-5. Year to date, I still have a very slight lead, 85-58. Eduardo has on my tail with Shawn, 83-60. Pat, 80-63. And Mike is coming up on that 500 mark. If he picks Albany in the first two games, he should be there. See what I did there?
I may only have 2 games to do it. Either way.
Yeah.
You may only have 2 games to do it, so
two
I
or
might be
three.
safe in this
That's
lead.
it,
But
so
but
numbers
I am a
one,
bit
but
rusty,
here.
guys. So before we get rolling into the NLL stuff, we get the ball rolling. Semifinals, guys. Semifinals. A lot of surprises. And
Yeah.
not so many surprises, all at the same time.
Yeah.
I'd like to say I'm really shocked that the Rock are out, but I'm not. They can't get over the Buffalo curse, and they can't get over the Buffalo zones, and they can't get over the Buffalo schemes. And why? I put it out there the other day. Why would Tavares change anything when you haven't proved to him or the team that you can get around the defensive structure that they put in there? And Friday, that debacle was a big example that they hadn't had any answers in a year on how to do it. The strange thing is, when you look at it, Toronto lost twice to Buffalo during the year. And, logic dictates it's really tough to beat a team 3 or 4 times in a year.
They're a lot to
touche.
win us to the playoffs.
Yeah, touche on that one.
Yeah.
Four times this time. And 3 of them come from behind. Fourth quarter things. So even more of a little to the grind there. So, but we'll get on to that in a minute. Just before we move on, just a reminder, everybody, that this part of the show is brought to you by Sherry's Tickets.
Great moments don't just happen, they happen with you in the crowd. Sherry'sTickets.com is easy to use and has no hidden fees. The price you see is the price you pay. Pay less, play more with Sherry'sTickets.com and get the tickets you want. Save even more by using the exclusive promo code EOP10 and share an experience that will live on. Don't pay hidden fees and save 10%. Why use any other ticket reseller and get those hard-to-come-by tickets to the big game? If you need a more personal touch, give them a call at 610-494-5050. Sherry'sTickets.com also has great theater and concert tickets that are hard to get your hands on. Remember, don't overpay with the rest and save with the best at Sherry'sTickets.com. For that next great moment, save 10% by using the promo code EOP10. Great moments start at Sherry'sTickets.com.
Absolutely. And also, just a reminder to everybody that summer ball has started. Major series starts on the 20th of this month. WA is not far behind. And Ontario Series Lacrosse Senior B, under new rules with not so many pros, has just begun. We're just over a week into it. I know it because I've been doing all the recaps for them. So it's been busy. Hamilton has looked good in their inaugural thing. They started with an exclamation point. They beat the Ennismore James gang 20-4 in their first game.
Oh.
Yeah. It was looking like the James gang is not faring much better than last year. But they had a little bit of a rough time also with the Owen Sound North Stars. But not nearly as bad. They lost 9-3 to the North Stars. The Rivermen and Six Nations and the Clearview Crushers got into a wild one. It was, I believe, 23-10 was the final for Six Nations. Good defensive struggle. Yeah, when you don't put the pros in, that's what happens. Brooklyn, they held on to beat the Six Nations team 9-7. This was the other night. There was a couple of games here where teams played each other a couple of times. Clearview played Hamilton and beat them 8-5. I believe that was Saturday night. And Rivermen and the Merchants played again yesterday, and Brooklyn came up 12-10 winners. So there was one more game, and that was this afternoon. And I was just going over the score sheets. And sorry, let me get that for you. It's all on an app this year, guys. OLA has an app, believe it or not. Trying to make it easier on us.
Yeah.
Well, Hamilton beat Clearview 11-10 this afternoon. So But yeah, it's got everything on this app. Whether you're looking for the OLL website, change of seasons, Instagram, different leagues. It's got pretty much everything on it, and it's at your fingertips. There's a few bugs they have to work out still, but overall, it is a pretty good tool. And of course, when I don't have it up there, of course I have referee sheets. And if you've ever seen one of those, trying to find the old Pearlie's maps is easier than trying to figure out one of these sheets after some of these people and their handwriting. This day and age of computers. And wow. And then you get a long name, like, I don't know, McCumber's name, and try and figure out that in the score sheet there. And, or some of them ones where it's just squiggly lines. But Ontario Series Lacrosse is in full swing now. So please check out their website for upcoming games or check out the OLA app for upcoming games. Same thing coming up with Major Series on the 20th. And away we go. And summer will be in full swing. And of course, now that the Rock are out, I have time. I have time to do it. So why don't we get on to some of this fantastic NLL stuff? And brings me to Friday's game here in Toronto and Hamilton.
Careful, Gary. Careful.
I tell you, it just to sit through this and watch this. I got to tell you, I try and be as positive as I can. But when a team doesn't show much life, it really is hard. And, it's funny, because the fans are the ones who really wear it. You're talking about players and pride in wearing the jersey and, pride in their work. The players wear the jerseys. The fans wear the tattoos. Player may change teams and now their allegiance is there. That fan still got that tattoo on. Their allegiance is to that team. So I have to give kudos to the Buffalo Bandits fans who came into to Hamilton to try and take it over. They did a real good job. The Rock fans, for a good chunk of the game, did too until it was hopeless. Then it started getting lopsided. As you could see in Buffalo, if you were watching the game today, they had as much of a fan base out there as they did for the Country and Western concert the night before, which is pretty amazing. I would say somewhere in the, tough to sell playoff tickets because you only have a week to market it. And there it looks like they got pretty much 19,000 again. Pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But why don't we give the highlights of the look or the lowlights, depending on what side you were on. And let's see some of the oddities that are in our game.
Two teams not giving up much. McKay shoots, scores! Ian McKay has the first goal on the mark. Matthews pressured by Priola, who steals. Oh, he's done a lot of that this year. Robinson up the floor for the Bandits, swings it over, they score! On-man rush over this game with their transition. Josh Byrne, deadly from here! Oh my goodness, he scores! Driver makes a little stutter move. Twist, shoot, scores! What a missile from Schreiber! Into the back of the net, but here come the Bandits, they score! Transition! Alive and well for Buffalo, who wastes no time. Bouncer off of Cree, who's so part of that, but it comes back to Bird. It's like Buchanan scores! How did they pull that off? Schreiber in tight, shoots point blank. Want to save another stop from Vince. Incredible sequence of saves from Matt Vince. Schreiber, Matthews, Rogers, quick stick small, and somewhere in that equipment, Matt Vince has squeezed it tight. Buchanan. In the Bird. Smith shoots, scores! Unexpected. Goes, Torpedo to it. Trying to spring the Rock up the floor. The Snoops. And Hutton scores. Tail end of the Bandits power play. Quick stick. Robinson scores right back. Brandon Robinson with just a shade. Ball disrupted. Nanticoke somehow from his back. Scoops to Robinson, scores! Buffalo can do no wrong. Roy Holochuk in goal for the Rock. And that's where they're at in the game. Buchanan stings the corner. Holochuk on the bench. And that one jumps into the grasp of Vince, who goes down the floor. Holochuk tried to stop that, but now it's a walk in goal. And Buffalo reaches 10 thanks to Kyle Buchanan.
Where do I begin? Well, let's start with the offense. All season long, we've been talking about the outside shooting and how it's not going to work in the playoffs against Buffalo and Matt Vince. It'll be like shooting at a bullseye, which is a Bandits logo. What did they do Friday? Everything was from the outside. In fact, they made Lintner a healthy scratch. So the one guy who would go inside wasn't in the lineup. Instead, we had Zach Kearney out there on defense. I think they overthought this defensive thing. Because as far as I know, when you don't score any goals for 39 minutes, you're not going to win many games. Mark Matthews probably had the worst game of his career. Most everything that he did was giveaways. You know, it was ridiculous. Little flip passes that were intercepted. Other things that didn't go right. They didn't crash or try and get out of that Buffalo box where they pull the two defensemen down, have three goaltenders, and are agile enough to get in all the shooting lanes and passing lanes. And they had no answers. The defense, for 3 quarters, looked really good. Then they got really tired, and then they started making big mistakes. The biggest glaring one, I think, was late in the shot clock. 3 Rock defenders going after Nanticoke, who was on his back, and was able to flip it over to Kyle Buchanan, who scored with, I think, 2 seconds left on the shot clock. Inexcusable. For all the people saying, well, it's a good thing they pulled Rose after 8 goals, get a clue. Get a clue. The one bright spot for the Rock in that game was Rose, because at least he was on his game, whereas none of the others were. And Holochuk was put in because at that stage we're going to start pulling the goalie, and well, you know, because sure, you can always get 8 goals with the goalie pulled, right? I always question things like that, but anyways, he's quicker to the net than Rose would be, especially doing it multiple times. So that was that answer. So Rose gave up 8 goals. Holochuk gave up 3.5, because I guess that one was counted as an empty net goal that he was trying to get back and never quite made it back. On the other hand, Buffalo had the right strategy and the right people doing the right things. Matt Vince played out of his mind, though a lot of those were, again, with the Rock doing the outside shooting is all fine and good in certain situations, not all the time. Low percentage shots late in the shot clock is what padded that number for Vince. So did he play good? Yes, he did. He played very good. Did he play great? This wasn't the Matt Vince that I saw beat Colorado 13-4, but this was a really good Matt Vince in net. Simple. Mike, what's your take on this?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a bit frustrating to be a Toronto fan and to have to watch the kind of that same game plan that you dread seeing over and over and over again. And just
you could have put me in, transported me to 2023. It was the same thing, and I knew early on we were in for a long night because of what I was seeing. The one that got me though was they called the one Rock goal back on a crease violation and whistled it back in, and the Rock are still celebrating. and a long lead pass down the floor, and poof, there's a Buchanan goal or Robinson goal or whatever. So instead of celebrating, you're now down. So instead of 3-1, it's 4-0. Little things like that,
That's just
those
kind
are
of
just mental errors.
That's why I shook my head at is you got Josh Dawa, Corey Small, Chris Bushi, Sean Rogers, Dan Craig, Tom Schreiber, Mark Matthews. I could go on and on and on, and you scored 0 goals in the first half. How does that happen?
Half of the
How
second.
does that happen? You have so much firepower there, so much offense, even without Dan Lintner, and you scored 0 goals. Something's very much disconnected there.
I'm telling you to sit through that and watch that. And actually, at one point, it wouldn't put it past me if someone told me Vince's going to get a shutout tonight. Very well could. Very well could. But just, even watching the body language on the bench, it didn't look like, you almost want to yell, get your heads up, guys. Get your heads up. You can lose by 100 in this one. There's still game 2. But, wow. That's the worst showing I've seen since the Klopfer era. I put around 2008, 2009 in one single game. I just am befuddled at the game plan and what they were thinking. Because you mentioned Dan Lintner, you mentioned Josh Dahlweg, both were out. Both were sitting scratches.
Yep.
These are guys who I would like to have on the floor because they're young
100%.
legs and fast. But, you reap what you sow, I guess. It was ugly. Ugly. It's really the only word for it. Ugly. Unless you're Bennett fan. And it was just like the greatest thing that ever happened. Because, well, your team
honestly,
won.
can you blame him? Yeah.
No,
can you really blame him? Like,
God, no. I'm actually amazed that they were as well behaved as they were. I got to give them credit. We spelled box a few times. We counted. Hooked on phonics
we
was
did
working great. Yeah, the hooked on phonics thing was working great. But you know what? Rubbing it in. I had a Buffalo Bandits guy in front of me and his two young kids, and they were so well behaved. I actually looked at him one time. I said, "You're welcome here anytime, guy. Anytime you want to come here. Even if Buffalo isn't playing, you're welcome here because you're better than a lot of people who are usually here." I was amazed. And, I listened to, I don't like the Bandit fan come here. Well, you know what? They're actually putting money into our team. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And cheering for their fans. Well, don't you do that when you go to Bandit Land? Don't you do that when you go to other places? They can. As long as they're not rude. And they weren't. Not that I could see. Loud. Yes. Yeah. Doing what Bandit Land does. I have no problem with that. I loved it, actually. It brings some energy in the game. It even wakes up some of the Toronto fans to start anti-cheering, cheering against them.
It's fun, right? Even when you
Let's go Bandits, go Rock, go. Let's go Bandits.
It's fun, right? It's kind of that fun chirping, right? Like not the mean spirited. Yeah, it makes the game fun.
Exactly. Lacrosse community isn't that big a community. We get together. We hate each other for 60 minutes and we go to each other's weddings, christenings, and funerals. Simple. It's just that simple.
Yeah.
Something big comes up. We're all there playing charity games trying to raise money. We're all there doing raffles trying to raise money. Something big comes up, something major. Life happens. We're all there for each other. For 60 minutes, we hate each other. We're wearing different jerseys. It is what it is, right? But,
Exactly, yep.
Well, that was my take on that one. We had another one, though, later on that evening. And, of course, Albany went into San Diego. And, it's funny because, Albany's had a really good year. And everybody wrote them off even without playing the game. Funny how that is, eh? Silly people. Why don't we look at the highlights and see what happened over there?
lead. This moment is huge. Simmons just doesn't care and unloads one. Beautiful goal to get Albany their first of the game. Dixon gets inside. Dixon tucks it past Jamison. Welcome back, Curtis Dixon, after a goose egg a week ago. Couple of seconds here. Late man on is Ethan Walker. He steps in, finds Simmons. Shot clock about to run out, and Origlieri can't find it. Walker tucks it between his legs. A wrist save by Origlieri. Time winding down in the quarter. Simmons turns it in. Sam Firth on the one-timer with 0.4 of a second left. Ball movement from Albany consistently. It is beautiful. Now Simmons with space as Shume comes out to address him. Paulus peeling in. Kurtz up top. Oh, boy. Masterful work on offense to get Kurtz open, and it is a 5-0 run from the defender right there. But desperately need a goal, and it starts with ball movement. Stotts to Doby, gets it past Jamison, and there's the goal San Diego needed. Firth scored once in the first half. Now Kurtz thought about stepping into one. Spins away, Baptiste comes over, feeds the middle, Grennan! Back-to-back Albany goals, and it's back to a 3-goal marker. Was dominating this game one. Grennan bounces it up high for his second. About how tricky those bounce shots are, even tougher in one-on-one. He's got Paulus trapped. Alex Simmons scoring 5 goals and posting 9 points. But right now their defense trying to hang on to the lead. Wesley Berg scores!
Well, Albany comes out with a 14-12 win and surprises and shocks a lot of the San Diego faithful. Shawn, what do you think? Sorry, Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we all picked San Diego. I as much as we've been kind of up and down with Albany at points during the season, kind of wondering, okay, hey, when are they gonna fall off the cliff? I think a lot of us made that pick thinking, hey, it's hard to ignore 9-1 at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
For San Diego. And while they weren't maybe winning in the way that some of us expected, where they're just running away with like a 21-7 game or something like that, they're getting those wins. So it's a tough barn to play in, but Albany's gone into a lot of opposing barns this year. and without fear and won. So, add San Diego to the list.
Question for you, though, Mike. Question for you. Do you think, just like the Toronto thing, do you think that San Diego overthought this? They sat Brody Merrill in game one. They sat a few people looking to try and maybe put them in the second game because of the travel. Do you think maybe they overthought this a bit?
Yeah, I have a hard time with that. I think they're just, I think when you've, geez,
made that type of
yeah. Well, I was going to say, the last few years, how often have we really had double header playoff weekends? This is kind of, I don't want to say it's brand new, but it's fairly new.
But it's also, we always had it in divisions. And now this was coast to coast.
We did, that was one thing I did notice after the first round. I kind of said, okay, Buffalo, Toronto, easy to do, easy enough. But Albany, San Diego, and of course Halifax won, it would have been even crazier.
The thing with the playoffs, those both teams have to deal with it.
Yeah,
Well, the way the second game ended, can you imagine if those two teams went head-to-head? We'd still be sorting out penalties.
Well, that was another point I just wanted to make. Even in that first game, Albany did what they had to do. They frustrated San Diego. And what happens when San Diego gets frustrated? They start to unravel. They take dumb penalties. I mean, they had, I think, 2 unsportsmanlike conduct penalties just in the first game alone.
Yeah.
Just for Beacon, which is completely avoidable.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't win championships that way.
It got worse in the second one, but we'll get to that in a little
Yeah.
bit. But, Origlieri, what's your take on him, Mike?
I mean, I don't know that I can hang this loss or the next one either on him necessarily. I mean, kid's what, 21? So, I guess.
I simply look at it as though, the same thing with Rose in Toronto. I don't think he was at fault.
No.
I think the way it played, I don't think the defense was as sharp as they could have been. I thought they were a step slow on a lot of things that they were doing. And, I had to rewatch the first half because I was still traveling back from Hamilton when the game started. But it was what I caught in the second half live. And then when I rewatched, I find there was a lot of things that we brought up again during the year, of things that we worry about with an older team. Granted, veteran, have been there and have won, but the legs are older. And now you're into round 2. You've already played an 18-game season. You had a week earlier where you played and had to go through an overtime game to win to get there. So it takes its toll. And you got a young, resilient team that is just, they don't know they're supposed to lose.
As I say, they don't know any better, right?
Yeah. They just play because they play.
They're playing. They were last year, dead last. They're playing with house money at this point.
3 wins.
Yeah, they're playing with house money at this point.
3 wins, and hey, how many of those? But also take into account how many of those players weren't around last year for that.
True.
Yeah.
True. Or hurt.
Good
And
chunk of the offense. You're talking Simmons, Kurtz.
Well, doesn't Simmons put an emphatic point on his rookie campaign with a 10-point, 11-point night?
He does, and actually almost that whole right side. I mean, Longboat too wasn't. I mean, he was with the team last year, but he was injured. So, Grennan wasn't here in Albany last year. So there's a good number of guys who on that team who didn't go through that.
Right.
But even then, you're talking about a lot of rookies like Kurtz and Simmons.
True.
Again, they're playing with house money, right? No one was expecting them to be in the playoffs, let alone in the national championship.
Basically, it was like Toronto. They put it all in. They made deals at the trade deadline to go further all in. And
and I do want to point that out. 4 deals at the trade deadline, and most of the people were talking about Taggart Clark to New York for the number 1 pick, or what became the number 1 pick for Philly, and the Wardle trade to San Diego. And which 2 trades have been the most impactful? Paul Dawson to Buffalo, and I would say even more so, John Wagner to Albany.
Absolutely.
On
there.
So, and that's not in any way to discredit, the effect Paul Dawson's had on Buffalo, because obviously, there's history there, plenty of experience playing with Matt Vince or playing in front of Matt Vince. So, I mean, that's huge, but find me someone who can understate what John Wagner has done for this Albany team.
Especially this series. He's been like an anchor out there.
Yeah. Just,
Absolutely.
he's got the speed, he's got scoring ability. He soaks shots, he causes turnovers. I mean, he's pretty much He's pretty much their new Swiss Army knife.
Absolutely. Just before we go on, I want to just remind everybody this part of the show is brought to you by Philly Sports Trips.
If you're a Philly sports fan and you want to travel with your favorite team, then travel with the best. If you want to travel with the pros, then go to phillysportstrips.com. Philly Sports Trips features premium travel and tailgating experiences for the best fans ever the Philadelphia sports fan. Philly Sports Trips has self-travel packages and full travel packages available with round-trip flights for Phillies, Eagles, Flyers, Sixers, and even the Union. They even offer day trips for more local games. Go to phillysportstrips.com, sign up immediately, and tell them EOP sent you. Do not forget, Philly Sports Trips has all the away trips for the Eagles' upcoming 2024 season, including the Brazil trip week 1. Jump on it now before you lose out on all these great opportunities. Go to phillysportstrips.com and don't miss the next great Philly sports moment.
Absolutely. Well,
Yeah, one more thing I want to know.
yeah, sure.
Shots in that game, 52-39 in favor of Albany in that first game. So, and I don't know loose balls offhand, but I believe San Diego won the loose ball battle in that game.
Remember too, I think
Albany still found a way to win.
That's
Right.
right. Faceoffs were about 50-52, weren't they? Like
that game was 17-12 in favor of San Diego.
So yeah. I mean, for Baptiste faceoff, you'd expect a little bit more.
And for all the talk of the reffing in that game, penalty minutes were 20-18.
Yeah,
so
the only
huge disparity, that handcuffed San Diego.
I'm thinking that the during their run at the end of the game, and they win the face-off, their goal behind, the loose ball push was it's about the only thing I have a little bit of a thing about it, and turned into an empty net goal.
Yeah, maybe a bit ticky-tack.
Yeah, and all the momentum with San Diego, they have the ball, and they have Albany on their heels, and then that. So that if there is one, that's the one. Other than that,
I'm always at the feeling like you shouldn't have left yourself in that situation to begin with, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I can't help but add this. Albany wins by 2. They were 3 for 9 on the power play. So you kill those penalties, and
well, there I go back to right. We talked about it. San Diego, if you can get out of their skin, they're undisciplined.
Well, that leads us right into game number 2, doesn't it? And game number 2, if you thought they were undisciplined in game 1, you ain't seen nothing yet. Everything's on the line. They travel across country. Brody Merrill's in the lineup. O'Keefe is in the lineup. Didn't expect to see that. Yeah. Kyle Jackson lineup. Didn't expect to see that. Want to get fresh legs in. Fresher legs, I guess.
Yeah.
Only going to get so fresh, right? It is the oldest team in the league, isn't it?
Yeah, and Albany's the youngest.
Yeah. And you can tell resiliency just by watching this game. All right, let's have a look at the highlights, and we will pick it up from there.
Season, they won that loose ball battle. Nice pick and roll. Shot inside, and San Diego strikes first. It's Trey LeClaire, GM Plus and TSM Plus. Dane Dobie, 2 goals away from passing John Tavares for the most all time. Cut inside, stops. That was difficult, but made it look easy. It was 3 games last year in the basement of the league. Simmons darts to the rack. Simmons, he scores! Friday night this week, Simmons, elusive. 4 to shoot, everything but the shot. Kick outside! First lead of the game for Albany. Agent signing in 2019. Albany on the power play. Firth was the man who capitalized. This time it's Walker.
Firth. So same thing we've seen so far, a couple of calls away from the ball.
Firewolves have scored 2, and the extra man make it 3. They annihilate inside O'Ringlieri.
Created, and now San Diego back the other way.
Remember, Seals don't have the timeout because of the lost challenge, and they've already used 2, but it bounces in through Jamison. Including today. Doby works off the ball, catches on that left wing, fires and scores. Dane Doby is now tied with John Tavares for the most goals scored in NLL playoff history. Simmons down a lane, middle of the floor, creates a double, opens up a shooter. Longboat with his second, and a 1-goal lead for Albany.
To Jamison. This time, however, Jamison had the answer on the save. What a battle. Here's Kurtz.
Kurtz comes away with it. Blazing inside. His 5-hole goal is good. 8 minutes to go. Still 3:43 left in the major penalty committed by Austin Stotts. Over the top. Far side. Longboat. Repossession San Diego. A new 30 on the clock. Dixon taking his time here. He wheels one home.
Little extracurriculars, and Albany gets a chance on the power play.
Simmons looking for a hat trick. Simmons scores! Albany's 5th power play goal. The reigning champs can go back to the finals for a 3rd straight year. That's coming up at 5:30. Walker, middle of the floor. What's running through the minds of some of their older players and what the future might hold. And they score! Kurtz! Are you kidding? In the regular season.
Good
Pardon me,
turnover,
second to Stotts. Go ahead.
Good turnover. Here we go.
And there's a way to fight your way back. Dane Doby has become the NLL's all-time leader in postseason goals. Wes Byrne, who has yet to score a goal. Loose ball collected. Goal is empty. It's out to Watkinson. This looks familiar. Albany by 3.
And there you have it. In a nutshell, they alluded to it there. Some of the older players on San Diego and the future. Do we see them tear this apart? Or do they try and get another year out of this?
I don't know, because I was just going to say, like, you could tell in that game there were guys jogging down the field.
Yeah, they're
I remember
gassed.
they had one shot of Dane Doby. I think it was in the second quarter. His head was down. You could tell he was gassed.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is not sustainable in San Diego.
No, something needs to happen in there. They need to get some youth brought in there. But then they start having a problem with West Coast. And, you know, I don't know. Programs are still developing, so soon that will be not a problem. I think it still is a little bit of an issue. Other than who doesn't want to go to a nice sunny place in the middle of winter, especially if you're living here, or if you're living Saskatchewan way, or if you're living Halifax way.
Right.
You know, flying across country when you know that you're going to spend 3 days in the sun in 75-degree weather. That's a good good selling point. But I also think that there were some coaching errors in this. Merrill challenged 2 right off the bat. And 1-1. And the other one, well, I don't even know what he was challenging.
I was about to say, well, can we talk about that challenge? Because that guy wasn't even close to the crease. I don't know what
near close
Patrick saw there, but
like they have tablets for that, right? So you should have been able to see. But for the rest of the game, you have no challenges. And you didn't have a timeout left in the first. So these are major errors. Now, in the second, when you need timeouts, what do? You take 10-minute misconduct, right? And get in the fights, and we'll stop everything, and we can figure everything out. Oh, man. You know, I thought when Stotts was playing the beginning of the game, before he got frustrated, he looked great, as he usually does.
Yeah.
And then his temper gets the best of him.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the game, that was crazy.
What he did at the end of the game there was just
retarded.
What was he thinking? What was he thinking? And now he's could be looking at suspension
to start next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would add though. I mean, even just a few defensive miscues cost him. I mean, you saw on the highlights that the longbow goal where he was pretty much all alone in the crease.
He had 3 defenders on one guy.
So you had that. You had the loose ball that Tchaikovsky, I believe it was Tchaikovsky, knocked it out to Kurtz with 2 or 3 seals converged on him against the boards, and Kurtz was all alone. And then you had the Kurtz goal from the narrow angle. They won by 3. Take those 3 goals away, and you're probably not even looking at the Watkinson empty netter even happening at that point. So,
right.
You know, it's funny you mention that, Mike, because it's mind-boggling. Because this is a veteran defensive core. You have Kyle Rubish, for God's sake. You went and got one of the best defenders ever.
Yeah.
And he's a defender, unless I love Kyle, especially when he's with the Rush, but he's past his prime.
Yeah.
Still doing great things, though. He had a pretty good series.
Yeah. But he's not the Kyle Rubish he was 10 years ago.
Oh, heck no. Heck no. I'd like to be the me from 10 years ago, let alone.
Who wouldn't, right? Yeah.
But, I don't know. I think there has to be something going on, because if nothing else, this is a wake-up call for the Seals. Going, hey, man, this is, we got to do something here. But it's on all scales, though. It's not just one particular thing. Defense, we talked about all year, and we weren't sure. Offense, we were talking about how they were absent in games. Well, with the exception of about 10 minutes in either game, they were pretty absent in most of this, weren't they?
For the most part.
Yeah.
Or am I wrong?
It's kind of like, again, like most of the season where they didn't wake up until later in the game. But in this case, because of the playoffs now, don't have those weaker opponents. By the time you wake up in that second half, it's too late.
Mm-hmm. They almost pulled it off in Albany, in San Diego, but the game 2-1, the closest they got was within 1, and then Albany just put it into 4th when really off they went.
Yeah,
and San Diego was just gasping. So,
and that's the point you're talking about. What San Diego needs to do. Look at what Albany's done. They've got a really, really good bunch of young players that are going to be playing together now for a long time. And wait until Dyson Williams comes
in. Yeah.
Yeah, and I want
they built it right.
I want to add to that because we did talk about it last week, and I don't know why none of us thought about it. It's not just Dyson Williams; they're also getting Will Johansson on defense back.
Yeah.
From injury.
Yeah, he won't be their video guy anymore.
So,
yeah, there's a lot of upside to Albany for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I hate to say it, but I almost feel like San Diego was a bit handcuffed with trying to rebuild that way. And I wasn't looking at it so much from perspective of geography and all that as much as, okay, obviously Stotts isn't going anywhere. Obviously Berg's not going anywhere.
But wasn't it a little shocking Berg didn't have a goal?
A little bit. I mean, they're most likely going to keep Jacob Dunbar on the right-hand side, but now you've got Dixon, who's, he's getting up there in age. Trade destinations, if you're deciding that it's not working and you need to get younger on the right-hand side. He's probably the only guy you can trade, and you're going to get decent value for him because you don't want to trade Trey LeClaire for sure.
Mm-hmm.
but where do you go?
Did you do something with Dane Dobie?
I mean, that and that's the thing. It's that it's the two of them that I'm looking at the most, and it's
Will they go?
not even so much that, but where to?
Because if you're going to send them somewhere
Because
where
if
they
you're
might just retire and say,
if you're Vancouver, I mean,
You don't want him.
he has history with Kurt Malosky, but do you want to mess up that chemistry at this
Well,
point?
Vancouver's going through a rebuild themselves. They don't want an aging veteran.
Calgary, is he going to go back? Thought finish your career where you had your success, right?
That right side's pretty young. I mean, dude. So,
Halifax.
I feel like if Calgary took him back, that's gonna kind of hinder the progress of guys like Pace and Hayden Dixon, and
Yeah.
so because he's gonna want the ball in his stick.
Sure. But that leaves him a place like Vegas. Sean Williams. Is he going to really be a big help there?
I mean,
Yeah.
that's pretty much it. I'm sure Hellier would love to have Dixon on
Extra help, yes.
So
Yeah,
on that side with him,
that might be the only option, but
it's one of the few.
But again, I could ask that same question that I just posed in Calgary's case with Jack Hanna. Does his game kind of take a step back because, okay, hey, I got to share the ball with, first ballot Hall of Famer here.
Right. I don't think so, though.
I don't think,
I think when it's just a one real main character there, I don't think so. I think it'll complement, and it might actually season Hanna ahead of his years.
Yeah, no, I think I agree with you, Gary, because I think they don't have a big enough young core that's really proven anything yet, other than really Hanna, maybe a few other guys, but Hanna's kind of main guy you're probably going to be building around. So maybe having that veteran presence might help there.
Right.
Whereas I think it could upset the apple cart in a few other markets.
Yeah. Colorado would probably do the same. So,
all right. Just before we get to our last game of this weekend and start looking forward to next, just a reminder that this is part of it is brought to you by Dolan's Bar.
When you're staying local and you want to watch a great game or just hang out with some great people, go to Dolan's Bar at 24 East Sellers Ave in Ridley Park, right off I-95 south of the Philadelphia airport. For over 65 years, Dolan's has thrived because of one reason: the amazing people of Philadelphia. Great music, great times, memorabilia, giveaways, great drinks, and great food. You never know when a former Philly sports icon walks through that door. You go to Dolan's at 24 East Sellers Ave, Ridley Park in the 19078. Tell PJ that EOP sent you. Go to dolansbar.com or follow them on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok.
Mike, you notice the Sumi dog is there in Dolan's, eh?
Yeah, with the sunglasses and everything.
Hey, he must have won his case.
That's probably why he needs a lawyer.
Before he needed cherry injury law.
Yeah.
Right? He's there. Afterwards, he needed cherry injury law. But yeah. Buffalo, Toronto.
Yeah, sorry. I just want to just hop back. I only offered kind of those offensive pieces, despite their, the fact that they're aging, because, you need to trade a valuable piece to get some defensive pieces in return, because we
we have to just have some value to give, right?
Yeah. And I mean, I think, I would think the consensus out there is that, Brody Mail's probably not going to come back next year. He's probably not going to.
Yeah, no, this was the foray to get him his one NLL championship.
Yeah. So
this was part of the all-in thing, but
so that's a piece that's out, and again, I guess the other piece is just Mac O'Keefe. What's going on? I mean, he only played in 4 games this year. My understanding is he's got coaching commitments back east.
Mm-hmm.
So, but again, you're trying to get younger and you're trading away a younger player.
Yeah.
So that's why I kind of see them being maybe a little
Unless
bit.
they can get some draft picks or they can get something useful for them that's going to be out there. So
That's what I was thinking, draft picks, but
we got to see. And this, believe it or not, this one isn't as deep. Figures Toronto's actually still got their pick, but this one isn't as deep as some of the drafts we've been through lately. So
Yeah,
we'll see. We'll see if it really is that much of a thing. Well, the phones will start ringing in about 3 weeks' time, and should be an interesting summer. We've already got a couple of pieces of movement. We'll talk about that when we're done with the Buffalo game, just for MSL and showing Six Nations is serious about repeating. But Buffalo and Toronto needed to go and find different answers if they wanted to stay alive. And, they had me believing for a while. Anyways, let's have a look at the highlights.
Chris Bushi. Shoot, scores! What moves from Bushi and a big goal from Toronto to get them on the board in the first. So Toronto already able to notch a goal on a duck try there. Yes, Dan Craig will give the Rock the lead.
Huge stop for Vince. That's a great play set by Matthews to Bushi.
Matthews by the back. Small shoot, scores! Corey Small, power play goal. Tied again in Buffalo. Rogers. Matthews. Power play Toronto. Small. Schreiber. Shoot, scores! Have a first half. Tom Schreiber.
Put everything on the line. Well, now he's putting the goal scoring together.
Running and cashing in is Corey Small, second of the game by Corbeil. Danico watched. Rogers steps up, got a stick on it, and Dave Smith overpowers the Toronto D. Up the floor quickly. Weir, joined by Rogers, left it for him. Jubenville cleans up the mess, back to Weir. Shoot, scores!
Belter, to recognize that it was turned off, he put the Jets on.
Danico, swing, shoot, scores! Not one, not two, but three moves from Danico, who brings the Bandits back to life. Buchanan, Byrne. Momentum mounting, and Byrne brings them to their feet again. Byrne scores!
Yep. And that is it. Toronto is out. Buffalo goes and third time now to the finals. And we'll see what happens. But an entirely different second half than first half. Toronto was crashing in net. Toronto was making Vince uncomfortable. Toronto was getting that defense moving all over the place. Second half, they went back to outside shooting. The defense tightened up for Buffalo. They did make some adjustments, but it looked like Toronto went back to their old ways. I didn't see Corey Small. He wasn't noticeable to me in the fourth quarter at all. I don't know. Haven't heard a thing. But he was a pretty integral piece in the first half. But when you're waiting for Chris Weir to score, we're in trouble. That's all I can say about that. Buffalo knows how to win playoff games. Buffalo knows how to get the energy from their crowd. Guys like Josh Byrne live for these moments and take advantage of any inch that you're going to give them. Tehoka Nanticoke is so dangerous from anywhere, and for a big guy is very fleet of foot and can make you miss him not once, not twice, but 3 times on the way to scoring a goal. And then, of course, you have Chase Fraser and the few goals that he had, all very timely. A 6-goal run by Buffalo in the fourth. seems to be a modus operandi for them. They don't score one. If they score one here and one there, they lose.
It's
When they score in bunches, that changes the dynamic of the game. That gets the energy in the crowd. That returns back to the energy on the field, and they just feed off of each other. It's one of the few places where I actually think that a full bandit land is actually the seventh man. Because even Matt Vince plays better with all that energy in there. And go ahead, Sean.
Sorry, I was just going to say, when Toronto went up 8-4 in the fourth quarter there, even I was thinking, like, they can't sit back.
Yep.
Because we know what Buffalo does. Like you said, they score in bunches. They can rattle off 4, 5, 6 like we just saw this afternoon. You can't sit back with this team.
Thanks, Pat.
Thanks, Pat.
Thank you for all your hard work throughout the year. And thank you for sitting in my chair last week. Appreciate it. And what's going on, Brian?
Brian.
Hope all is well. You obviously saw the games 60-40. 40-60. Depending what part of the conversation you catch me on. But yeah. So Buffalo come back. They win. 2-game sweep. Third time in a row. You know, they came up with an interesting stat. The last time that Toronto beat Buffalo in the playoffs was 2012.
It's a kryptonite.
That is a curse.
Yeah,
In the early years, it was Rochester. Toronto could not go into Rochester and win a game. Then they broke that curse, winning a championship in Lacrosse Arena. And now it's Buffalo. They just cannot get over the Bandits in a playoff series. It doesn't matter if they play in the season and they win. They just cannot do it in the playoffs. The last 2 years, both years, they have been the favorites. Both years, the Bandits have made them look silly. Just kind of turning it on when they need to.
Well, that's the thing, too. Like you were talking about Matt Vince. I mean, there were times this season we were thinking, okay, like, is this it for Matt? Like, he doesn't look all that great. No, he did. He wasn't outstanding, but he found another gear.
And come playoff time, there's no one better.
Yeah.
Ever. You can line them up against any names that you want to. I firmly believe best goalie in the game. There's not even a close second. Longevity on top of everything, let alone accomplishments, let alone championships, let alone all the other accolades, all the other things, because he doesn't take time off. He plays year round. You know, how many Mann Cups has he got on top of NLL championships, on top of goalies of the year, on top of goalie of the year in summer, and you know, it can go on and on and on. You know, you bring the wheelbarrow in and off he goes with his trophies. But also a team guy. You know, it's one thing I noticed when he's talking about team in the press conferences. It's always team. It's not about his accolades. Even last year when he set the record when it was 13-4 against Colorado, you know, same thing with whether you're coming back. Well, you know, we're going to celebrate this. Then we'll worry about other things.
Yeah. We.
Yeah.
We, not I. We.
Yeah. It's not I. It's we. And him as a teacher, as an athletic teacher, a lot of NLL players have come from him because he's teaching that. How to be a good professional as well as a good player, as well as a good athlete all around. So character. We've talked about that many times. Character, not characters. And then, you know, he's one of your leaders. Everywhere he goes, he's one, right?
You know what's funny? I just want to go back to this because you talk about character, not characters. Let's go back to San Diego. Austin Stotts, great player, no doubt. When's the juice not worth the squeeze anymore? Stuff like what he did at the end of the game, that's selfish.
Mm-hmm.
That's an individual play. That's not a teammate.
Right.
Matt Vince is the
I think about
exact
Nick Weiss, actually, and the fight he got into Ostrauser, and turning a negative into a positive. You know, you got the fight, you got a whack of stitches. He turned that into a rallying cry for the fans, for the team, for everything around. and he didn't miss a shift today. In fact, they gave him the heavyweight belt in that game with all the other things going on. So, yeah, but character, not characters. We've talked about it. I've talked about it when I've interviewed Rich Lisk. I've talked about it when I've interviewed some of the other legends and some of the other Hall of Famers. Character. That's what's going to win you championships. And character rubs off on a team. So you have character of a room. Do these guys like to have fun? Yeah. Are these guys all business? Yes. Again, people hated the Montreal Canadiens of the 70s. What did they do? Kept winning. People hated the Edmonton Oilers. What did they do? They kept winning. But you give your left tooth to get Josh Byrne on your team, Dane Smith on your team, Chase Fraser on your team, Nanticoke on your team. Was Kluche even playing today? Never saw him. Never heard of him.
Did it really matter?
No, not really.
No offense to Kluche, no offense to him, but I mean, that's not the point I'm trying to make, right?
Yeah, he's number 5 on this. That shows you how deep this is. His second overall pick when Philadelphia traded him, right?
Right.
And he's the 5th choice there.
Yeah, because maybe we're rethinking. We said, well, if you shut down Byrne and you shut down Dane, maybe we need to rethink that.
Well, I still think Dane is the catalyst for everything. Byrne flies around and takes a lot of attention. Nanticoke is probably the most dangerous guy in the league in front of the net. Fraser is your clutch guy, and he can score some of the craziest highlight reel goals. But Smith is usually the one, and today it was Byrne a lot of the time, assisting. So those two guys are still the center point of getting guys the ball. They have the talent enough to score wherever they're given it. But these two guys are still, yin and yang. They'll probably be inducted together into the Hall of Fame. Well, hell, they play together. They play together in the summer. They play together, they're roommates. They do a podcast themselves everything's together. Yin and yang. But it works.
Yeah.
Chemistry and character. So just to go over what's going on upcoming, we have Game 1 in Albany. This coming Friday night at 7 p.m. Eastern.
That's going to be 2 Fridays from now.
2 Fridays from now. Oh, okay. Yes. 2 Fridays from now. That eliminates them not having a building next week, right?
Right.
And May 18th will be in Buffalo. That will be a banger. And then, if necessary, the following Friday back in Albany. Interesting.
Yes, and for those wondering, I would just want to say for those wondering, Albany was the higher seed, so that's why they have home floor advantage for the finals.
Again, the thing that just blows my mind, from a 3-win team, the home floor advantage
in the finals.
Yeah, pretty amazing. Love it. Parity in the league, right?
Yeah.
And up and comers, even better. The thing I was alluding to earlier is Six Nations, the Six Nations Chiefs. Since the Man Cup will be in the East this year, want to repeat. Well, they want to repeat anyways, but they're all in on this. I was talking with Warren Hill earlier in the week. He was supposed to be an interview, but we had some technical difficulties. But talking with him, and of course, this is first and foremost in summer ball, is these guys want to repeat at home, want to fill the ILA for a Man Cup. And they made 2 big trades this week to continue things along. Last year, they had Brad Cree on the team because, Oakville didn't play. This year, they got him for good because they made a trade to take him. So Brad Cree is now a full-time Six Nation Chief. And Steve Priolo, and I have to give credit to Herb. He put up on the Bandits page that the captain Priolo was traded. and the panic. That ensued.
Vanderland went nuts.
Oh yeah. Nobody seemed to remember that the trade deadline came and went a while back. But of course, he left out the little bit of news of Six Nations, right? So no more living in his van out in Victoria. Another one of those Brooklyn trades for, I guess, cash. And talking with Wayne Cawley, former GM in Brooklyn, if he were to go for being a commissioner, first thing he would do is stop this player for cash, player for player of equal value. That's it. And a number of things we discussed about that, but how to breathe some life back into MSL and summer ball, get some interest back in there, because for the Stanley Cup of Lacrosse, the Man Cup, we need to get more interest in some of these places. Peterborough gets 4,000, and then Brooklyn, hardly anybody in there anymore. Brampton, hardly anybody in there. I don't know how Owen Sound is going to receive them. I don't know how Oakville is going to pull in a crowd. Probably a decent crowd on a Monday night. Yeah, but Tuesday night Six Nations was never really a full house either. So a couple of years ago they were complaining about close to folding, and now they're looking at repeating. So let's hope that they're on the upswing.
Yeah, well, you see it similar in the West, I was going to say. I mean, I can't speak about attendance, but, I mean, you're talking about buying players. I mean, whoever's got the most cash can basically buy a championship.
See, the problem is that you've now got into Peterborough, Oakville, Six Nations, and then the feeder system, which is Brooklyn, Brampton, Owen Sound, Cobourg.
And West is really no different. You got Victoria, New West. I mean, and that was coming along, Langley, and then after that,
the feeder system.
The feeder system, yeah.
Yeah, farm system. Take the growing pains, develop them, and then we'll scoop them. Thank you. Because they're going to want to earn some money. Well, put a salary cap out there and should solve things, right? Just before we wrap up, I just want to remind everybody this part of the show is brought to you by Cherry Injury.
If you get hurt at work, in a motor vehicle accident, personal injury, or affected by criminal law, you call David R. Cherry of the Cherry Firm. Cherry Law Firm is here to fight for you and get what you deserve. Cherry Injury Law is a dedicated, well-established personal injury law firm built on the promise of aiding the seriously injured throughout the state of Pennsylvania. If you have been seriously injured in the state of PA by the negligence of another, and if you have questions for a Westchester or media personal injury attorney, please don't hesitate to call. Call 610-565-0300 or go to cherryinjurylaw.com. Let David R. Cherry fight for your right. And again, that number is 610-565-0300 or go to cherryinjurylaw.com.
Sue me dogs and Dolans, Mike.
Yeah, I was going to say, so if your dog gets into a bar fight,
yeah,
go sue me.
There you guys. There you guys. I'll get you out of all this mess. Oh, well. I just want to remind everybody that we are on Facebook, we are on Instagram, we are on Twitter, we are on Thread, we are on YouTube. And again, more stuff coming on YouTube all the time. Like I say, there's more retro games coming, more interviews, more other things coming on, as well as our entire library. If there's anything you wanted to look at, anything you wanted to know, it is there. Don't forget to follow us 3, 4, 5 times a day on Facebook. You have everything at your fingertips that you're going to need to know to get you through playoffs, to get you through summer ball, to get you through the draft, to get you through PLL. We are there. Ontario Series Lacrosse, I am doing all the stuff for their website, so all that stuff will be up on our site as well, just like Arena Lacrosse. So we are there in the forefront to get everything to you. It is our privilege to do that. It's been 2 years that we've been doing this show and loved every minute of it. I got the greatest team I could ever put together and have with me. So I thank you guys very, very much. And you guys did great last week. It was, yeah, I'd love to say I still have stayed up for everything, but it was 3 o'clock in the morning. And I faded after about 20, 25 minutes because it was 3 o'clock in the morning. But, it still was, great on the other side of the world to, see everything going and moving along just right. So Thank you very much.
No
But
problem.
yeah, with everything coming up and, summer ball and WLA, and we have everything taken care of. Junior, OSL, everything is going to be there. Everything is at your information. Again, we're the Costco of lacrosse. We are your one-stop shop for everything. Let alone, there should be a number of other things coming on, as well as interviews coming up in the summertime as well. Already have a few of the guys who have agreed and are lined up. So once we start getting to a bit of a lull, we're going to start adding those on again as well. Should be an exciting time. Last words. Let's go with Shawn first. Shawn, any last words?
Yeah, just looking forward to this final. And you know, you're talking about 2 years. We'd be remiss if we don't thank Gary too. I mean, hardest working guy out there, I think. So thanks you, Gary, for all that you do too as well.
Thank you. Mike, last words?
Yeah, absolutely. Echo Shawn's sentiment. And hey, this final is going to be something. Albany fans, obviously, coming off a 3-win season, last place, a chance to go worst to first. Buffalo, chance to repeat. And, I tell the Bandits fans, don't think it's in the bag, because if you remember back earlier in the season, you lost not once but twice to Albany. So, and that includes once in your own building. So, this team is not
San Diego, but overconfidence.
Yeah, this team is not to be taken lightly, and right now, I mean, as good as Matt Vince has been, Doug Jameson's been there, step for step.
Oh yeah,
with him. This man held Halifax to 3 goals.
Dougie's had an
Let's
outstanding year.
Let's not forget that. So,
I think it's going to be a spectacular final. I really do. I think that Albany has all the pieces.
And nothing to lose.
All the ability.
Nothing to lose. Yeah, they got nothing. All the pressure's on Buffalo. All the pressure's on Buffalo.
Yeah. Let alone, the Bandit fans travel well to obscure places. When they're only going a couple of hours out of their way, that Albany arena will be full, but it'll be orange. There'll be a lot of Bandits fans in there. So it'll be an interesting dynamic, especially if the thing goes 3 games. That last game will be interesting.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I totally plan on being at Bandit Land for game 2. So looking forward to pre and post with everybody out there and reacquainting with all the people that I saw this past weekend. And we can learn to count again and spill box. Again, I want to thank everybody. I want to thank everybody for being with us and being steadfast with us. And it's only getting bigger, only growing more. Again, we're having more things come along. We're going to have stuff with CUFLA as well, with the Canadian universities, with a relationship with Thomas Scott, the commissioner and assistant commissioner. So should be an exciting time at the end of the summer into fall. Summer ball is going to be big. And again, relationships with all the commissioners is always helpful. So look forward to all those things and all those games and a few other little surprises along the way. Anyways, for Shawn Slaght over in Saskatoon, for Muffler Mike over in Connecticut, I'm Gary Groob in Toronto, and I'm really privileged to be here with these guys and for you guys. So until next week, I wish you the best of weeks. Keep your stick in your hands, and we will see you all then.